Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, all sorts of good stuff. I'm joined today by Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Sitting back there, of course, is Ray Ora. Right beside him, running the show today, is Jonathan Voico, and over beside him is Taylor Gonzalez. And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it into two parts. First part of the show, we got some predetermined topics, a lot of them to cover here today. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take our beloved channel member questions. When we get near the end of our main topics, our channel members, we are going to announce that we're putting up a post in the community tab that only channel members can see. Fire in a thought, theory, comment, or opinion in there, and we will read off a few of them in the second half of the show. Also want to remind you guys, if you need your daily fix of the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, good news, there's an audio-only version known as the John Campea Show podcast. Just go into your favorite podcasting app of choice, subscribe to it today, so it'll be there when you need it. Also, one last thing, the tickets are running out fast. There's just a few of them left, but on Sunday, February 19th, so next Sunday, myself, Christian Harloff, Greg Alba of The Real Rejects, we're going to be doing a live show at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank, California. No, it is not a comedy show because I am no comedian, but we're going to be getting together on stage, talking about the online movie world, and specifically, we're going to be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania as well. Tickets are almost sold out, but there are still a few left. You'll see a link to the ticket sales down below, and we hope to see you there. All right, guys. With that all down, we got a bunch of off the tops here to talk about, and we're going to start off with this one. The Last of Us, obviously we've been talking a lot about The Last of Us. It is simply one of the best TV shows. We're only 4 episodes in, but that I've seen in years. It's not been many shows that have captured me so instantly and so completely just in the first few episodes. The Last of Us has done it. Now, up until episode 3, the rating numbers and the viewership have been going up and up and up in incredible amounts. I believe the first episode launched and in its first 24 hours had just under 5 million views. Then there were about 4.6, and the next one went up to almost 6, and then the third one up to like 6 point something, and it kept going up. Now, there was some talk going around that because episode 3, which is one of the best single episodes of television I've seen in a long time, but there's kind of a heavily gay element to the thing, which is whatever. It told a beautiful story and I loved it. But some people, even in our own chat board, suggested that, well, episode 4's rating numbers are going to go down now because people don't want that. Well, wrong. The numbers have set a new viewership record for them, as according to Variety, The Last of Us Episode 4 has hit a new series high in viewership, even though it was going to head-to-head against the Grammys, which got 12 million views, by the way. Apparently, the Grammys had bigger viewer numbers this year than they've had in a while.
Yeah.
At any rate, Variety writes the following: Episode 4 of The Last of Us set yet another series high. Let's go over to my screen there for a second, Jonathan. Set another series high with 7.5 million viewers in the first 24 hours on Sunday night's episode, up 17% just from last week's 6.4 million that tuned in to episode 3. That the show's audience is still growing at this point is especially impressive feat, as episode 4 aired on HBO and released on HBO Max during the telecast of the 65th Grammys, which brought in 12.4 million viewers, its highest audience since 2020. Still, a major contingent of viewers chose to watch The Last of Us instead, or chose to stream the new episode after the 3-hour-long award show. So, Last of Us continues. Now, the traditional linear thing of a lot of television shows has been debut episode, peaks high, it drops over the next couple of episodes, then plateaus out. If the show is good, then it plateaus out, and then as it gets into the season finales, the ratings go up a little bit. That's kind of been the normal profile of a semi-successful show. This has been following the same pattern that, say, WandaVision was following, where people tuned in, big viewership in the first one, loved it. Word of mouth spreads. More people come to watch the second one. Loved it. Word of mouth continues to spread. More people came for the third episode. Word of mouth continues to spread. And now we're on episode 4. And there are still people that I keep hearing from of, I haven't watched this Last of Us show yet. I think I got to jump onto it this time. And they're going to get caught up. They're going to get watching this. And this is truly a testament to just how great this show is. Now, I didn't think any show could come along. I was anticipating that Last of Us was going to be really good because you got Craig Mazin on it, right? The guy who did Chernobyl, which is like the best miniseries I've seen in over a decade. Mm-hmm. So I knew it would be good. And the source story of Last of Us is good. So I knew it would be good. I never thought it would replace Yellowstone as my favorite show on right now. And in just 4 episodes, The Last of Us, like if a new episode of Yellowstone came on right now, we're going to be talking about Yellowstone a little bit later. But if a new episode of Yellowstone were to come out tonight and a new episode of The Last of Us, sorry, Kevin, I'm watching the new episode of Last of Us first. I will then quickly go and watch Yellowstone right after that. But this show is phenomenal. The numbers show that out. Rob, is it surprising to see these numbers continue to grow and not just like by little single digits? These are double-digit growth numbers week after week. And how high can this thing go?
Well, look, a great narrative and great storytelling is self-evident. And I think, people, when you're looking for great entertainment, you're looking for great characters and great stories. And I think the desire to find great characters and great stories transcends things like political ideology or things like that. And I think that The Last of Us has provided some beautiful character development, great world building, and great storytelling. And I think ultimately that trumps anything else. If people are compelled by a narrative to keep watching, and especially, John, post-apocalyptic shows aren't exactly unfamiliar to audiences.
No, that's true.
Walking Dead and things like that. But what The Last of Us, the show has that the game had, is that emotional connection. And that goes beyond, take away the post-apocalyptic nature of it. The relationship between a broken man and a girl that reminds him of his dead daughter. And that relationship, that's something that I think all human beings respond to. Now, we get the deliciousness of clickers and bloaters and evil hunters, action adventure, and that's good too.
That sounds like something from a fetish party, but yes.
but you know what I mean? The show's good and it's really well done. And I think that's what anybody is looking for. And, I've found that great television transcends anything. If you find a great narrative, people will go see it. They'll watch something. It doesn't matter what it's about. If it's good, they'll watch it. And this is so well done. This represents, I guess we call it still television, broadcast, streaming, call it what you want. But this represents peak television in the way it's made, the way it's written, the way it's acted, the way it's produced. Everything about this show is first rate. So it doesn't surprise me that it's finding the audience. And I think it's just, I don't know how high it's going to go, but I think it's going to go higher, baby.
Yeah, it's
never coming down.
It's going to get into the double digits in the first 24 hours. I think by the time we get to like episode 7, but it just keeps racing. Guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? The numbers for The Last of Us just continue to climb higher and higher and higher. It is one of the best things on television right now. What are your thoughts on it? Maybe you think it's a little bit overrated. Maybe you haven't checked it out yet. Maybe it's your favorite show of all time. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to another off the top here, shall we? And that one is this. I don't know if you knew this. I'm not a big fan of AMC CEO Adam Aron.
Why? No.
Not a fan.
Really?
Yeah. Might be a totally wonderful guy out of the office. Nothing on his personal character whatsoever. But he's a damn lousy CEO. He's terrible. And he is like, it's almost like he's on a mission to kill the movie theater industry. As we go back and look at all the decisions he has made, it's like, oh, yep, that's hurt the movie theater industry and that's hurt the movie theater. He just continues to try to undermine the recovery of the theater industry. Don't know why, but yeah, not a big fan of the job he does as the CEO of AMC. Anyway, yesterday we talked about a new scheme that AMC has to increase the prices of the tickets in theaters that you choose the most. Those tickets, you go online, you buy your tickets and you generally want to sit somewhere in the middle, right? Like that's where 50% of the seats are. Yeah, they're going to start charging you more for those. Oh, but don't worry, they say. We're going to lower like $1 the prices of the front row neck breakers, but we're probably going to increase the premium seats by like $2 or $3 or $4. Anyway, I wasn't the only one who was perturbed by this. which I was really grateful to see. I got online yesterday and saw a lot of people very angry at this boneheaded, idiotic move by AMC, who is, by the way, I want to remind everyone, they are my favorite movie theater chain. I mean, if this was done by a theater chain I hated, I wouldn't get as worked up about it. But it is my favorite movie theater chain. They've got an absolute asshat running it right now. But, you know, I saw online a lot of people very upset about it. And one of the guys who decided to come out and talk about it was Frodo himself. Elijah Wood.
Yeah, I'm sure he likes being called all the time.
But Elijah Wood, he came out and he put it really well. He came out and blasted it as well. When he said this, and I'm glad he did, he said this: the movie theater, in response to AMC's new pricing scheme, the movie theater is and always has been a sacred, democratic space for all, Wood wrote. This new initiative by AMC Theaters, initiative is a kind word, it's a scheme. This new initiative by AMC Theaters would essentially penalize people for being lower income and reward people for being higher income. And I'm so glad he said that, because one of the things about the movies is when we go to you've heard me talk about why movies matter, Rob, and I always say that regardless of your socioeconomical position in life, how much money you have, whether you're rich or poor, gay or straight, black or white, North American, African, Italian, European, whatever, you can come face to face with any other human being in the world and you can talk about movies. It's the great equalizer. We all love the movies. And when we go into the movie theater, we're all together. Everybody's equal. Like, we just go and we get it. And, you know, if you try to get a seat for a movie and it's almost sold out and there's only a neck breaker, well, then you got a choice to get that neck breaker seat or wait till another screening, whatever, right? And I love what Elijah said here about how, so now we're even making it more so. Like, it's already getting expensive to go to the movies. It's a great, I mean, Chris Rock said it best. He goes, point me to another full night out, date night you can do that's cheaper than going to the movies. You're going to have a hard time finding it. Even mini golf is a little bit more expensive than going to the movies now, but going to the movies is getting more expensive. And to now say, well, we're going to have seats for the people who can afford it more and seats for the people who can afford it less. It's a philosophical problem that I didn't even think about before, but I'm glad he said it. Anyway, you read, you know, Elijah's comments here. What do you think of them?
Bring forth the truth, Frodo. I think he's absolutely right. I mean, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, like you, I've said my whole life that the great thing about movies is you walk into a movie theater, people from all walks of life, all shapes, sizes, colors, creeds, beliefs, whatever, sit in the dark next to one another, not caring who they're sitting next to. The lights go down, the projector's light hits the screen, and everybody is there to watch a story. But what they're doing is there's now immediate stratification in terms of income levels or whatever. Like, and not only that, you know, then it, like right now, there are people that like sitting in the front row. When I was younger, there were certain movies, and when I go to the movies, John, if I see movies multiple times, I actually make it a point to sit in different places. Like the first place I want to sit in the middle.
Right.
Because the sound is in the sweet spot. But I also like sometimes sitting further back or sitting close up because the experience of those images might change. I've found that my perspective sitting in different places, depending on my mood or whatever, is actually different each time. And this kind of a thing, I get where they're coming from. But, you know, since it's not even that much money. If you're charging people an extra $1 or $2, why not put better food in the lobby? Give me something more, give me more choices there. Why are you going to set up, people are going to be like, I guess, you know, it's that scene in Jerry Maguire where Renee Zellweger and her son with Ray, she's pointing to the first class section. She goes, "That's a better life," you know, and that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, yeah, how many people are going to be like Renee Zellweger pointing with their kids going, well, hey dad, how come we can't sit in the middle? Well, we're a family of 4, son, and I saved an extra $20 by getting tickets back here.
Right.
I mean, I don't have a son, but if I did, I wouldn't want to have to tell him that at the movie theaters. It's weird. But I'm glad he put it in those kinds of terms that make it about economic stratification, because it is. It is. And you know what? How many times have you gone into a theater where the speaker's rattling? If you can guarantee me a perfect experience, well, you have with your Dolby Cinema. I'll pay extra money because the experience of watching a movie is better. The picture's better, the sound's better. But, you're talking about the difference between one row and another when you're at the back of one section.
Yeah.
That's not right.
And again, I'm just befuddled by this. In an era right now where the main goal of all theater chains should be getting people back into the theaters, instead of trying to make the movie-going experience less hassle, easier, and more enjoyable, what does AMC continue to do? And listen, there are other theater chains that are guilty of this stuff too. But we're talking about AMC right now. AMC continues to find ways to raise prices, negotiates shorter theatrical windows. They continue to have a half-hour-long window of trailers when a movie says it's going to start at 7, it doesn't actually start till 7:30. Then on top of the unreasonable length of trailer plays that they have, they then insist on showing like 3 different AMC commercials of, here's our commercial for our A-list. Now here's our commercial. The A-list one I can get because you're trying to get those people to sign up for a new thing, right? Then here's a commercial for our popcorn. Well, it's too late. The movie's about to start. We would have bought our popcorn by now. And now Nicole Kidman's going to come on and say, go to AMC theaters. I'm sitting in AMC theaters right now. And then continue to raise prices. It just seems like I don't know how clueless you can be. But Adam Aron and the executives at AMC continue to set the bar for how clueless and out of touch you can be as a movie theater. Anyway,
I agree.
Guys, question is for you. What do you think about Elijah's comments here? I think they're fantastic. But at any rate, how do you feel about them? Whatever you feel, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do another off the top here, shall we? And that one is this. Rob, we've seen a lot in the last number of years, the idea of a legacy sequel. That's the new term, in case you haven't heard it, a legacy sequel. And what a legacy sequel basically is take the original film of an older franchise and then kind of pretend all the sequels to that original film don't exist and now do a new sequel to the first movie. We saw Halloween do that. We saw another one do that recently. Which was the other one that did it, that went back and just kind of pretended the other ones didn't exist? But we've seen a couple. We've talked about a few of them on the show. Well, now apparently there's another one coming in the form of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Because according to stories, Freddie Prinze Jr., I got to tell you, I love Freddie. I really, really do love Freddie. Freddie Prinze Jr., Jennifer Love Hewitt are in talks to return for I Know What You Did Last Summer, because it's official. They're going to do this thing, and it is being qualified as a legacy sequel, because I think it has to be a legacy sequel. Listen, I'm not going to pretend that I am brushed up on my I Know What You Did Last Summer lore, but didn't Freddie or Jennifer Love die in subsequent sequels? I can't remember. But at any rate, they're talking about doing a legacy sequel with the two of those coming back to return. Okay. I am not the biggest fan of the I Know What You Did Last Summer films, even the first one. I thought it was all right. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate the film. I thought it was all right. But after seeing what Halloween did, now, I know you're not as big of a fan of the 2018 Halloween kind of relaunch legacy sequel as I am. I personally loved it. It was actually the first Halloween film I really enjoyed. I don't even like the original. I know that's sacrilege to say, but I loved what they did there. It felt great. It was entertaining to me. Unfortunately, it went to hell for the next couple of films. But if they can capture that magic with two performers I happen to really like. Actually, that service Cameo, where you can get old WWE wrestlers and whatever to send a video message? Ray and I have a buddy named Ryan. You guys have seen him in some of my social media posts. He's the one who looks like Ben Affleck. And he loves Jennifer Love Hewitt. Loves Jennifer Love Hewitt. Why are these pages sticky? Jennifer Love Hewitt. And so when Cameo first launched, one of the first things I did was I got Jennifer Love Hewitt to send Ryan a video message, which I think made
not about sticky pages.
Not about sticky pages, no. And Freddie, well, we've done stuff with Freddie before. Freddie's fantastic. I love Freddie. So listen, if you can capture the magic of what the 2018 Hollywood did with a franchise like this, and they said it would be kind of a passing the torch sort of a situation, I'm all for it. I think this could be fun. You could do it for pretty cheap. You could probably do it for a fairly reasonable budget. This wouldn't be a CGI fest or anything like that. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this notion. What do you think about the idea of a legacy sequel to I Know What You Did?
Well, I was thinking about another legacy sequel that Blumhouse is doing is The Exorcist.
Right.
You know, they're bringing back Ellen Burstyn to come back. You know, here's the thing. Again, getting a great story well told is what I'm interested in. And I do think, as much as I was not a big fan of what they did with Halloween, I still thought it was respectable. You know, it didn't besmirch the original, and it actually honored the actors. It gave sort of Jamie Lee Curtis a comeback.
Yeah.
And I liked the other actors they hired to be in that movie. It wasn't that it was a bad movie at all. But and with legacy sequels, if it's not like I Know What You Did Last Summer is some sacrosanct horror classic that I'm afraid they're going to ruin the legacy of the tremendous franchise, you know, that meant so much to me as a child. But it's the kind of thing where, why not? Because, you know, here's what I think Hollywood's learning. They're learning that when we get these sequels, like when we watch, we really want sequels to the original. They usually F things up when they make a bunch of sequels.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And by the time you're getting to, like, in Halloween 5, there's like a religious cult. There's like, what? What happened to the shape murdering babysitters? That's what we wanted. Bring me back to the original. We saw Creed. I mean, that's still that had the whole Rocky. It was in context with, but still, that was a reinvention. That was cool. That worked. You still had Rocky Balboa being him, but I like that. I like Top Gun Maverick comes back. I mean, there was never a sequel to Top Gun, but who would have thought they would have made a Top Gun movie 36 years after the original?
Yeah.
Never. So if they can give me an I Know What You Did Last Summer. And I still know what you did last summer, even though it's been 23 years later. And who would have thought I'm still looking? But hey, that's okay. I mean, if it's good, it's good. Give me a good movie. Bring back the original cast. And let's face it, when it comes down to the original question, who doesn't want to see Jennifer Love Hewitt again?
Everybody does.
Everybody does.
And Freddy's continues to rule. I love Freddy. So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you like the idea of, and I Know What You Did Last Summer legacy sequel? I think it's a great idea. I would love to see more kind of take advantage of this. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do another off the top here, shall we? And we go from films that are surprisingly coming to films that might be surprisingly going. Now, a little while ago, there was a bunch of excitement as it got confirmed that the Keanu Reeves film Constantine was going to be getting a sequel, something that a lot of people have been waiting for a long time. Now, understand, though, that all happened before, you know, the new regime took over, particularly with taking over DC Studios, James Gunn and Peter Safran, and all the new plans were laid out and all kinds of stuff. Now, it was notable that when James Gunn and Peter Safran made their big announcement about the first stage of the new DCU, and they announced, 10 projects, absent from that list was the aforementioned Constantine sequel. And a number of people took note of that. Well, apparently the new reports going around, and it should be said that this has not been confirmed, but according to some reports going around by some sources online and everything, apparently the Constantine 2 sequel has been axed. And it's being suggested that the only real reason it got greenlit in the first place was because it was a desperation play. This is what the reports are saying. Greenlighting Constantine 2 was a desperation play because they had a big window in the release schedule where they had nothing coming out, and they just kind of greenlit Constantine 2 to get it done. And apparently that's now gone. Now, again, there's been no word from Warner Brothers or DC or anything or Keanu Reeves to confirm that the thing has been shelved and canceled. But I will say this, it tracks. I was surprised when they said they were going to do a Constantine 2, because let's face it, the first Constantine did not do great, right?
But I liked it.
It has a lot of people. It has a very loyal core of people who loved the film and remember the film and all that kind of stuff. And Keanu Reeves, good Canadian kid, by the way. Keanu Reeves is as hot as ever right now. So I kind of got it, but I was still a little bit surprised. I'm not surprised that it doesn't fit into the plans of where the DCU is, although you could make the argument that you could make it an Elseworlds kind of project, right? Some people even thought that Swamp Thing might be the door to have Constantine, a lot of things like that. So I will say this, keep in mind that this is not confirmed. I will say, though, that I buy it because it adds up to me that they would axe this project. I'm not surprised to hear. Again, though, we don't know for a fact. We're going to have to wait till we hear James Gunn, Warner Brothers, somebody make some sort of comment about this. But I kind of believe this report because it makes sense to me. I don't know, Rob, you heard about this. Were you surprised to hear this? And do you think we will actually get a Constantine 2?
One, I wasn't surprised to hear this at all. And two, I don't think that we will. Only because if they're introducing Swamp Thing, Constantine was actually introduced in the pages of Swamp Thing,
that's right,
Alan Moore's run of Swamp Thing. And the iteration that we saw on TV on Legends of Tomorrow on the one season, the 13-episode short-lived Constantine TV show was much more in line with the character from the comics. And I think, look, everyone loves Keanu Reeves. And I thought Constantine was a very respectable movie that has grown in stature over the years. It's a good movie. Is it a great adaptation of the comic? It's okay. But I think as a standalone film unto itself, it's pretty good. But I think if they're trying to honor and go back to the roots, the DC roots of all these characters, that Constantine has to loom large over anybody that's taking over the Swamp Thing franchise. Because if they want to use Swamp Thing to lead to the darker arcane realms of the DC universe, Constantine's going to be a part of that. Etrigan, the demon, all that stuff. So I think that they want to keep those characters available to the new regime. And I think, unfortunately, I don't think the movie had a chance once they decided to put Peter Safran and James Gunn in front of to handle this. I think it was immediately a casualty. And it makes sense to me that it is because they have plans for Constantine.
Do you think we could be getting a new iteration of Constantine? Like,
100%.
again, with Swamp Thing and stuff like that?
100%.
And you don't think that there's really a lot of a chance that it could either be a situation of going back to the TV Constantine we had, which I don't think there's any chance, or Keanu Reeves would be just somebody brand new right off the top?
No, I think they're going to reinvent it along with everything else because they'll go back to the original Jamie Delano Hellblazer comics. I think that the James Gunn, based on what he's been tweeting and the issues, he's very influenced by the Vertigo books of the 80s. I mean, Sandman was one of them. Constantine, Hellblazer, the comic, came out of Swamp Thing. And those Vertigo books are probably a huge influence on James Gunn. So he probably wants to go back to the Constantine comic was hardcore. That was a hardcore, R-rated, terrifying, really disturbing comic book. And I think that they're going to want to go back into that direction. When they go horror, with Peter Safran already having the Conjuring universe, I think Swamp Thing and everything that comes out of it's going to be very hard R, real hell's a poppin' horror that we haven't seen before in comic book movies. And I think they definitely would take Constantine in that direction.
Right, and just have it be their clean slate, own new iteration of the character. That makes sense to me. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? And again, it has to be said for a fifth time. This is not confirmed. We have not heard this from Warner Brothers, but there are whispers going around that Constantine 2 has been canceled. Do you believe that? Do you think they'll do it? Or do you think they'll just want to start with a brand new, fresh Constantine? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down and out of the way, let's move on to our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day, brought to you by our great folks over at Mint Mobile. Get fantastic mobile service for just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And today's Mint Mobile question asks a question about the current DCU and if it could have been a little bit different if Black Adam had turned out differently. Check it out.
John, how's it going? This is me, Jamel from New York. Big fan of your show. I want to know, and I think I might know your answer, but I still want to hear it. People feel the need that if Black Adam has made $1 billion in the successful box office, they would still continue the DCEU, the Snyderverse version of their DCEU universe and everything. If Black Adam became $1 billion. But I feel that they might not continue it because they already have plans to reboot it anyway, so it wouldn't matter if they made $1 billion or not. But what is your point of view on that? Bring on the filthy. Thank you, man.
All right, thanks a lot for calling that in. And yeah, listen, let's go back because it is really, really interesting. The whole Black Adam thing is a fascinating case study. I think that we are in movie punditry circles are probably talking about for a lot of years. not often have we had a movie that had such a long buildup, because literally it was kind of in the talking stages for over a decade, announced for 7 years, and then it finally came out with the de facto biggest movie star in the world in the lead, with the right fitting character for him too, with the Black Adam character. And quite frankly, I know the movie has its detractors, and I have some problems with the movie, but I am unashamedly a fan of the film. I think it was fun. I had a good time watching the movie, even though, yes, it had issues, but it didn't make money. It made half of what Thor 4 did. Now, granted, Thor's a more established thing and all that kind of stuff, but still, it didn't hit $400 million worldwide. And that became a problem. Now, and then they brought in Henry Cavill. They made big announcements that Henry Cavill's back and all this kind of stuff. He raises an interesting question, because I think it sets up a lot of interesting dominoes that could fall. Let's say, for example, that Black Adam had come out and made $1 billion. $1 billion. Something that, if I'm not mistaken, only one DCEU film had done, and that was Aquaman. Now, Joker also made $1 billion. That was outside of the DCU. But in the DCEU, only one of their films managed to make $1 billion. That was Aquaman. What if Black Adam had been the second? Would that have changed the course of history to where we are now, where James Gunn, Peter Safran come in? They're seemingly doing a reset of the universe. Dwayne Johnson is no longer Black Adam. I don't think Black Adam's even going to be around for a while, unless they decide to bring in a new Black Adam with Shazam 3, if they keep Shazam around, and there's been no official confirmation of that either. It's interesting, and I'm of two minds. On the one hand, I think $1 billion film is $1 billion film, right? It's difficult to rationalize even to yourself, let alone to a board of directors or shareholders, that, yeah, we're not going to work with the world's biggest movie star who just gave us $1 billion film at the box office, only the second one we've managed to do in over a decade. It's hard to convince yourself and the board and the shareholders that we're not going to do business with them anymore. We're just not going to get into that. So that's the one thing. And they had invested so many years of getting that movie up and running, and to only get the one movie, make $1 billion, and then just move on from it seems odd. On the other hand, the historic problem of Warner Brothers ownership of DC, goes back well before the David Zaslav and Discovery takeover, hell, even before AT&T. The traditional problem with DC at Warner Brothers has been being overly reactionary, where instead of taking into account the long-term precedents they've seen, one thing good or bad happens and they're like, ooh, something bad just happened. Let's change all of our plans. Or, ooh, something good happened. Let's change all of our plans. And it's like, just throw out the long set of criteria we've seen, and let's just take this one moment that's happened. Let's change everything we're going to do. That's been their problem. And so part of me thinks that even if Black Adam had made $1 billion, that DC would have gone, Warner Brothers DC would have said, okay, that's great. And yay, we made $1 billion on that. But we've had a 10-year history of this franchise not living up to its potential. 10 years of it. We've got to move on. Let's take the win. Let's celebrate what this did, but we need to move on because, hey, we had the world's biggest movie star in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson starring in it. That would become their excuse. We had the world's biggest movie star. Of course it made $1 billion. And then they would move on. Here's what I think would actually happen, though. I think what actually would have happened would have fallen somewhere in the middle. I think that if Black Adam had ended up making $1 billion at the box office, James Gunn and Peter Safran continue to come in and reset the DC universe. But as we've been seeing, that the new DC universe is going to be, it's reset, and in any reset universe, some things are still going to look the same, some things will look very different. I bet you the only difference would be that Black Adam and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would still be in it. It would maybe a reset Black Adam with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It might be a different Black Adam than we saw in the Black Adam movie, but it's still Dwayne Johnson. Honestly, I think that's the only difference. I think they still move forward with the plans that they had. I think they still reset the DC universe. I think we still get that big project lineup that we got from them. The only difference would be is that they would continue to work with Dwayne Johnson in the role. So that's ultimately what I think would happen. A lot of different possibilities. Rob, which way do you think it would have turned out?
I think you laid it out pretty well. I mean, I think that's exactly what would happen, because you can't. $1 billion movie is still $1 billion movie. No one's gonna. If you've had $1 billion film, you're not gonna not follow that up. I mean, especially when you have Dwayne Johnson and somebody, you've made a movie that people really like, and it's in the DC pantheon. You're gonna hang on to it. And by the way, with whatever this Flashpoint reboot ends up being, there's no way that you couldn't have said, well, obviously this reboot didn't affect these characters. They're pretty much the same as they were. There's no reason why you can't say that they're just there. You know, if anything, it gives more possibilities to maybe soup up the Justice Society presence or something.
You know what the reset does? The reset gives James Gunn and Peter Safran an open excuse to have Pierce Brosnan back as Dr. Fate.
Yep.
Because the events of Black Adam didn't actually happen, so he didn't die. He's still here. I would like that very much.
I mean, and why not do that? I mean, they can say they can do whatever they want. It's a fictional universe. I think what they're trying to do is I think the real point of this is they can move ahead with their pantheon of characters. And by the way, I think that could be true if Jason Momoa comes back as Aquaman. I think exactly what you said. The events of the Aquamans that we've seen, that was a different universe, but the Momoa moves forward and they do a different iteration of everything. And people will understand that. But what they really wanted to do was they wanted to make a cohesive background. Look, I think that what Zack Snyder did, he had Doomsday. He made an older Batman. He had Superman. There was all of these things that he kind of bogarted in his trilogy about the DC universe that they might have wanted to make different kinds of decisions, because the Zack Snyder universe locked them into a certain vision. He did imagine the Justice League. So you're stuck kind of with all the iterations that we've seen, and then what Patty Jenkins did with Wonder Woman and what James Wan did with Aquaman. But it still came down from this one man's vision of what these characters should look like. So that might not have been the direction they wanted to go. They might have wanted to make it brighter. They wanted to do everything different, but they were kind of locked into this. So what they've done is they've gone back and, nope, we're going to have time. The timeline will change. The universe will change after whatever happens to the Flash, and we move forward the way we want, which means they can do anything. They can bring back, I love the idea that they might bring back Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. He was great. Why not? You don't have to kill anybody. I never thought about that. Now I'm excited. I'm like,
I did really, really like the whole Justice Society in Black Adam.
Yeah.
I mean, the best part to me was still The Rock. The Rock was still the best part of the movie, but I love that. I even, I really thought I would hate, Wind Girl. What's Passing Wind Girl? What's her name?
Cyclone? I don't know.
Cyclone. And I think that was it. Cyclone and Atom Smasher. Like, if you had told me going into that movie, that
Passing Wind Girl,
there would be like a CW teen romance
right
in the movie,
yeah,
I would have hated that idea.
Yeah.
But watching it play out, it was warm and it was charming, and I will use the D word, it was delightful. I would watch a Justice Society movie. I totally would, and maybe this will give them the excuse that they can bring them back.
I love that idea.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think? Like, how do you think history would have unfolded differently had that Black Adam movie done what a lot of us thought a couple of years ago it would do, which is come out and make $1 billion for the DCEU? Do you think it would have changed things? Do you think it would have changed nothing? Whatever you guys think, jump down into that comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we're going to move on to our main topics here in just a second. But before we do, we want to take a moment and thank a couple of the sponsors of the John Campea Show, making this show possible, our friends at HelloFresh and Rocket Money. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Guys, it's the new year. Do you remember those New Year's goals you promised yourself you'd stick to? HelloFresh is here to help you eat better by delivering fresh ingredients and easy recipes right to your door, taking the hassle out of dinner time. Looking for an easy way to eat well and save money? Cut back on expensive takeout and delivery and get started with HelloFresh. You'll love how fast, easy, and affordable it is to whip up a restaurant-quality meal right in your own kitchen. My wife Ann and I have been constantly impressed by HelloFresh. Not only how absolutely delicious the food is, but how easy it is to prepare and how much fun we have doing it. Go to HelloFresh.com/Campea65 and use the code Campea65 for 65% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/Campea65 and use the promo code Campea65 for 65% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. The average person has around 12 paid subscriptions. Think about that. If you think you're only subscribed to a handful of services, you might want to double check. With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify and cancel all of your unwanted subscriptions. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want and don't even use. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as the click of a button. My wife Ann and I moved out of Burbank 2 years ago, and one of the first things I discovered when I loaded up Rocket Money was that I was still paying for a gym membership I haven't even been to in Burbank in 2 years. So stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at HelloFresh and Rocket Money for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you support and try out our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. If you look down in the description of this video, right at the top, you'll find links and promo codes to our sponsors today. And thank you again to HelloFresh and Rocket Money. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our main topics here today. And how do we select our main topics? Well, that's where you guys come in, because you guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we absolutely need to cover as a main topic on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you'll see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Rob, what is our first main topic today?
John, our first main topic comes to us from Terry Plants. Good morning, guys. I agree with John that the A Quiet Place movies are some of the best I've seen in the last few years. Not sure if they're milking it a bit with a spin-off and an official third film, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited to check them out. Krasinski just posted some photos of day one online. Do you think that means he's actually in it, or was he just visiting the set? Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Terry. And look, I am 100% with you. Quiet Place movies are fantastic. That first one was one of the big pleasant surprise movies. I mean, it looked good. John Krasinski making his big feature theatrical directorial debut, and he did a magnificent job. I love that movie.
Yep.
I'm still not sure. I might like the second one even more. Not sure about that.
Well,
but they did great. The first movie made $340 million at the box office on a $17 million budget. $340 million on a $17 million budget. They upped the budget a lot for the second one to $55 million, and it was still kind of in the pandemic era. Still managed to make almost $300 million at the box office. First one had a 96% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Second one had a 91% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a fantastic franchise. Are they milking it a little bit? Because we got not one, but two more Quiet Place movies coming out. We have a spinoff called A Quiet Place Day One, and then we have the official A Quiet Place 3 coming a little bit later. But this has made the news now because John Krasinski, as you said, has hopped online and posted photos on set of the first day of shooting the Quiet Place day one. If you scroll down a little bit there, Jonathan, you'll find the actual post that he put up as some of the images there. And you can see he's got the incredible Lupita Nyong'o there, who is like one of the finest actresses in the world right now. Look at that. Standing there in a circle talking around with Lupita Nyong'o. Are you kidding me? Right on. It's also got Michael Sarnowski, I believe is how you pronounce the name, the guy who directed the Nicolas Cage film Pig.
Yep.
Did a fantastic job with that. Apparently, John Krasinski saw Pig. It was like, I think I found the guy I want to direct the spinoff. And so he's coming into it. But also you got Joseph Quinn in there, who is Eddie from Stranger Things. And then you've got an actor that Michael has worked with, Alex Wolff, who was also in Pig. And you also probably saw him in, if you remember him from Hereditary. So he's got a great cast lined up with an Academy Award winner, Lupita Nyong'o. Listen, I'll tell you what, I am getting excited about this spinoff. I am. I'm more interested in The Last of Us 3 because I want to see the continuation of Emily Blunt's story and all that kind of stuff. And those kids are awesome in it. And I was a little bit cool on the idea of a spinoff. But once I start having people kind of explain to me more about what happened on the first day, because that scene in A Quiet Place 2 of day one, we're just at a baseball game and all of a sudden these creatures, that was fantastic. To see a movie kind of based around that with a different set of characters could be interesting. Yeah, this bunch in the lot. I got to tell you, man, seeing pictures, Rob, what's the word I use? It's the tangibilization of it. It's real now. I got to admit, I'm starting to get still far more interested in Last of Us 3. I keep saying Last of Us, in A Quiet Place 3. But I got to say, I'm getting warmed up to this day one movie. What do you think about this?
Well, first of all, any day ones, any kind of alien invasion, zombie outbreak, show me day one. I love that stuff. I love watching the fall of civilization. I find that very entertaining because I never want it. It's also the scariest thing ever. I don't want to lose civility. I don't want to lose our civilization. But if you have to, I love it in a movie. We saw it in Last of Us. The doctor, that second episode, getting in Indonesia, in Jakarta. So this, I don't know if they're going to, I love when they intercut between a lot of different places, like the military, small towns, big cities. Maybe, I don't know if it'll be that way. It'll probably be more self-contained in one small town location or something. But either way, John, I don't think they're milking it. I think if Krasinski's there, and did he write this one too? Or was it written?
It's based on an idea, and I think it's a story by kind of premise. So I think he came up with the basic story, and then they got another screenwriter.
Because one of the things that I think this franchise was lacking was plausibility about where did these things come from. I know they're extraterrestrials, but no one brought them on a ship. Or did they? I don't know. We'll know. It's day one. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm in, man. Because these movies are... There's so many different stories to tell about what happened here. They have a built-in irresistible hook, which is these things will come get you if you make a noise. And that's very hard to do. So immediately you're in. You get the premise. I love horror movies that the audience itself is they're going because we see ourselves. How the hell would we survive? And that's one of the things that's important about these movies, whether you're going to survive a Michael Myers or Leatherface or whatever. I think one of the appeals of horror movies is you think to yourself as you're watching, would I do what the protagonists are doing or not? And I think for this, it's irresistible because everybody understands how hard it is to be quiet all the time. So the
first movie really made that so evident as they're playing games at night, whatever.
Yeah.
I do have one question though. The one thing about through all this, because there's a scene that happens in the first movie where John Krasinski takes his son down to the river and he's like, hey, it's all good because the river is so loud. No problem. To which I'm like, point of order. Why not build a cabin there and live right there? Why go back to the farm where you gotta, if you could actually live and not have to worry about the monsters at all because you're right there at the river. Listen, I'm not a handyman. I might try to teach myself how to, put four walls together and live. I don't know. It's just a question.
That's actually a very good point.
Yeah. Why didn't all of humanity move right down by the river in a van, even down by the river? There you go. Chris Farley would be proud. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? First pictures of day one, incredible cast. I love this Quiet Place world. Hopefully we'll learn more about the whole how did the invasion even start. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2 here, shall we? Rob, what is our second main topic today?
John, it comes to us from Movie Minutes. Did you guys see that Black Panther Wakanda Forever has become the biggest opening on Disney Plus for a Marvel movie so far? That means it beat out movies like Thor 4, Doctor Strange 2, Eternals, and Black Widow. Do you think this means the movie may be a little more popular amongst fans than we originally thought? Thanks.
All right, Movements, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, of course, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is now out on Disney Plus, made its debut the other day. And according to, well, at least Disney, because there's no official numbers from anywhere else, but Disney is telling us that it is the biggest premiere for a Marvel film on Disney Plus so far. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety, who wrote the following. Black Panther Wakanda Forever is the most watched Marvel film premiere on Disney Plus across the globe based on hours streamed in the first 5 days, the company announced Monday. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, directed by Ryan Coogler, who is amazing, launched on Disney Plus on February 1st after its theatrical debut, November 11th, 2022. Note that Disney did not provide any specific viewing numbers for the movie's streaming performance, and that the claim is based on the media conglomerate's own internal measurements, and that, of course, comes to us from Variety. All right, so, you know, in asking the question in the email is, well, does maybe this mean that Black Panther is a little more popular than we thought? Well, now, hold on a second. It's not like Black Panther was Black Adam. Black Panther made north of $800 million. And again, as I constantly have to remind people, when people, inevitably people who don't want to look anywhere beyond the surface say, well, the first one made a lot more. Well, yeah, because the first one had its main star and the first one had its main character. Anytime in the 6, 7, or 8 examples in Hollywood history, when they've tried to do a sequel or follow-up film without the main character and without the main star, the movie takes a significant dip in box office. Significant dip in box office. So it was there. Black Panther Wakanda Forever was not going to make $1 billion without Black Panther and without Chadwick Boseman. It just wouldn't, right? The fact that it still made over $800 million is very impressive. And to put it into context, if I'm not mistaken, that means the movie still made more money than Thor: Love and Thunder. And Thor: Love and Thunder made a pretty decent amount of money. Mm-hmm. Doctor Strange 2 made more money, but not a lot more money. So for it to come out and then become the biggest streamer, I don't think it's that much of a surprise. This is still a very beloved franchise with one of the world's great directors right now. Full disclosure, I did not love this movie. I didn't think it was nearly as good as the first, but then again, the filmmakers were faced with an impossible Herculean task of trying to put this movie together without Chadwick, without T'Challa. I mean, I don't know how you could have done a better job. But I didn't end up loving it, and that's fine. But I think this is a not surprising thing to hear, that it debuted as its biggest opening on Disney Plus for a movie that played theatrically. Anyway, Rob, you heard about this numbers from Disney. What do you think?
Well, I think, first of all, Disney Plus has more subscribers now than it's ever had.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, the
numbers so it doesn't surprise me that.
That's a good point.
You know, they keep adding, you know, and also it's still I mean, to go back to this, the representation that Wakanda Forever represents, you know, the fact that you have a predominantly Black cast, this is a very important thing. You know, and I think when people have easy access to watch this, I think those numbers go up because that audience is there, you know, and the more they see the film. Also, the Latin audiences with Namor, you know, and we have our changing demographic, especially domestically here in this country. It makes sense to me that this was a well-watched movie because people can go revisit it. They might have wanted to see it again, but as movies, taking families to the movies is expensive. You get Disney Plus so you can watch these things over and over again. And I think it makes sense. And I think that, you know, when you have movies that have a built-in demographic to them, people in that demographic are like the first people to tune in and watch. So it doesn't surprise me that the numbers went up. Also that there's more subscribers at Disney Plus. And, you know, this movie, I'm just saying, both Black Panther and Wakanda Forever mean a lot. They mean a lot to people. And I would imagine that I would love to see the analytics over like 6 months because I'll bet these movies get watched more than, say, Doctor Strange.
Right.
But, maybe. I don't know. But I would imagine so. And I think rightfully so. And I think it's great. I mean, it's really cool to hear this. It's cool to hear that, look, for all that people talk about, and we'll talk about this shortly, but the Marvel Universe and Phase 4 is alive and well. Hearing that The Eternals has done much better on streaming.
Surprising. It was the number one streamed Marvel movie of 2022, which is still a very surprising. I'm happy to hear it, but it was surprising.
Too. And I think that because, look, when you have all of the Marvel movies together, I think that, we're so harsh about our judgments. But when you're thinking about them overall, when you have the pantheon of Marvel movies on Disney Plus, I think people forgive them a little bit more. I mean, we expect these movies in the theaters, I don't know, to change our lives when they come out, but they're part of a larger whole. And I think that it's nice to see them do well in streaming.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you surprised to find out that Black Panther Wakanda Forever has become the biggest premiere on Disney Plus for a Marvel movie so far, beating out films like, Black Widow was also theatrical at the same time, so you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt, but Doctor Strange 2, Thor 4, things like that. What do you guys think about that? How significant is that? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to main topic number 3, shall we? Rob, what is our third main topic today?
John, our third main topic comes to us from Don J. Hey, John, I know you love Yellowstone, and some surprising news broke today. Deadline is reporting that Paramount is considering ending Yellowstone in its current form. The reason? Apparently, Kevin Costner is being difficult and making unreasonable demands about his shooting schedule and wanting to work less, which is affecting morale on the set. Taylor Sheridan is now in the process of writing a potential spin-off to continue the universe with Matthew McConaughey as the lead. What do you make of this shocking turn of events?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, John. And listen, Yellowstone, up until The Last of Us, has been I think, the best show on TV. It's remarkable. And the viewership numbers on it are staggeringly good. And they've just gotten bigger over the years. It's in the double digits. It's in the tens of millions that watch the show, and it just continues to excel and exceed. And some people aren't as big on season 5 so far. I have been loving season 5, by the way. And it was out of nowhere. They're currently on a mid-season break. Okay, so this season is broken into 2 parts. They had the first 8 episodes, and they're on a mid-season break, and then sometime in summer is when the second half of the season is going to play. And so we're just waiting around patiently, and all of a sudden, this report comes out yesterday saying, oh yeah, show's done. This second half of season 5, that's it. After that, it's done. And they're going to kind of replace it with a new show that's going to star Matthew McConaughey. I'm an Academy Award winner, Matthew McConaughey. I'm a big fan of McConaughey. I am. But this is what Deadline is writing, okay? They wrote this. Deadline understands that Taylor Sheridan, co-creator and showrunner, Paramount Global and Paramount Network, are moving to end their signature show in its current form. But they are plotting a potential franchise extension to continue the Dutton saga, a new show with Matthew McConaughey in talks to star. It is unclear which of the Yellowstone cast will move over for the McConaughey-led series, but it is expected to include several of the big stars. So they're saying they're getting they're going to end Yellowstone and then make a sequel series of it with a different name, led by Matthew McConaughey, but a bunch of the stars of Yellowstone will carry over. Okay, why? Why is that happening? Well, according to Deadline, they're saying this. The crux of the issue with the original Yellowstone series involves star Kevin Costner and disagreements over shooting schedules. This is where it gets kind of spicy. Listen to this. Sources tell Deadline that Costner, who had originally limited himself to 65 days of shooting on Yellowstone, only wanted to shoot for 50 days for the first part of the current season, which was still 8 full episodes, right? Okay, 50 days of shooting for the first part of that season. But for the second batch of episodes of the current 5th season of Yellowstone, the actor, Kevin Costner, who just won Best Television Actor in a Drama Series at the Golden Globes, only wanted to spend 1 week shooting. Only 1 week. Costner is directing and starring in his multi-part Western epic Horizon, which he co-wrote with John Baird, that landed at Warner Brothers Pictures and New Line. Given that Costner plays John Dutton, the patriarch of the Dutton clan, this has been a source of frustration for Taylor Sheridan, and it is understood to be causing morale problems for the other stars of the show, which includes Luke Grimes, Kelly Riley, Wes Bentley, Cole Hauser, on and on and on. We are told that Paramount Network has declined Costner's most recent proposal and instead has made the decision to move on with another show, the sources say. So look, again, this is, up until The Last of Us started, my favorite show on TV. And Kevin Costner's character of John Dutton is an amazing character. I love this show. I love his character. Hell, I even love his chemistry with Piper Perabo. She's great too. I love her. A little bit of Coyote Ugly up there in Yellowstone. I love this show passionately. And I'm upset. But the reality is, I don't know that I have anybody to be upset at. If you're Paramount and Taylor Sheridan, you can't let your show be held hostage. You've got to be like, look, we are not going to kowtow and we're just going to have to rewrite our entire show around your whims of any one person and what you want your schedule to be. We can't do it that way. We can't function that way. The show is bigger than any one person, even if that person is the star of the show and a fantastic Kevin Costner. At the same time, you know, I've heard Kevin Costner say in earlier seasons, I never expected this show would last this long. I don't think anybody expected Yellowstone to be in season 5, getting ready theoretically to head into a season 6. And if you're Kevin Costner and you are an Academy Award winning, Golden Globe winning, Emmy Award, whatever, you're this performer and you are a director at heart. He's also an Academy Award winning director. Let's not forget that. And you've done this show this long and you got other projects you want to do. I can't really be mad at a Kevin Costner for going, you know what? Or, you know what? You know, I don't want to spend my time doing this show anymore. I loved it. It's been great for me. I'm putting words in Kevin Costner's mouth now, but in theory, I have other things. Listen, I'm getting older. I've only got a certain period of time I can do the projects I want to do. And I've got this opportunity to do this new franchise of films with Warner Brothers, and I'm going to write and direct and all that kind of stuff. And I want to spend my time doing that now for whatever number of years I've got left in my career. I can't really be mad at him for that if he's already given me like 5 seasons of some of my favorite show of all time. So I'm upset, but I don't really have anybody in particular to be upset at because I don't think Paramount should do things any differently. And I can't blame Kevin Costner for wanting to do other stuff. Now, what does this mean about moving on? Well, Matthew McConaughey, I mean, if I could think of an actor that would fit in really well on the Dutton Ranch or in the world of Yellowstone, Matthew McConaughey is the guy. He would fit in that just fine. You know, he would be all right. He would be totally good in that. I'm good with it. And I hope they do bring over more characters. I can't imagine not having Rip on television anymore. I got to have Rip. I got to have, you know, a number of these characters. I hope it's a continuation. Give it a new name, move on. I'm okay with it, but it's upsetting to me, Rob. You heard about this. This is still a developing story, by the way. We could get more details later today, but this is kind of crazy. This is one of the most successful shows on TV. What do you think about this?
I think it's nuts. And it comes down to here's I think everything you said about Costner is bang on. But also there are contracts. You know, he's signed, like he can say that, and I get it, 6 seasons, 5 seasons. He still is obligated to not just, like, no wonder people are demoralized. You're an actor that's on a hit show. Every actor dreams to be on a hit show. Every actor is not an Academy Award-winning director of Dances with Wolves, doesn't have a whole, you know, other career behind them. I mean, the show, if you're on a hit, successful zeitgeist show like Yellowstone, you know, you want to stay there. And if that show, if the linchpin of that show is Kevin Costner and he wants out, I can only imagine how frustrating that is, especially because there's not going to get him. They have to have a chance to write him out. Hopefully they'll be able to come to some kind of an accommodation. But, you know, shooting for 65 days, if you think about it, they only shoot 5-day weeks in TV. So 65 days isn't just 65 days. That's over the course of however many weeks that is. So add in those weekend days too into the week. So 65 days becomes what? 85 days. How many?
Almost 3 months.
Yeah, that's a long time. And if you're prepping something and you have a schedule that you have to keep, I can understand that. But at the end of the day, too, I hope it doesn't become some weird, acrimonious, horrible, they're going to play out some kind of push-pull tug-of-war in the press, because this is a great show. I like Kevin Costner very much as an actor and as a person. I met him once a long time ago, and he was very nice. And I've always loved him. And I hope it all works out, because the show's great, and I love this. I never thought I'd say it, but I love the Yellowstone franchise.
It's a whole universe now. 1883, 1923. They got one set for the 40s and the 60s. They're talking about doing a 4-6s ranch spinoff. I mean, they're making like this whole thing going on. And to me, kind of the centerpiece of that is Kevin Costner's John Dutton. And again, I get it. If he's done the show for 5 years and it's longer than he thought it would go, and he's got other things he wants to do, you got to live your life, man. I get it, but I hope they're able to work it out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you somebody who watches Yellowstone? Maybe you're not, and none of this matters to you whatsoever. What do you think about the possibility of taking a whole bunch of the characters, moving them over into now a Matthew McConaughey-led series? I'm not going to lie. I am kind of intrigued by that. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4, shall we? Rob, what is our fourth main topic today?
Our fourth main topic comes to us from Steve Calderon. Hey, John and crew, I went on Twitter to read several of the first reactions to Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and so far they're mostly positive. One called it the best of the Ant-Man trilogy. Another one says that Paul Rudd gives his best emotional performance, while Jonathan Majors is being highly praised as Kang. What do you think of these reactions?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, coming off of like things like Doctor Strange, Thor, Love and Thunder, it's been really interesting. I've been very curious to see what the reactions would be like coming out of Ant-Man, because the ones for Doctor Strange and Thor, Love and Thunder have been a little bit more tempered than what we're used to seeing from first reactions out of the Marvel stuff, right? So I've been really, really interested, and they have been glowing. They've been really good, particularly focusing on Kang. Now, I've been a little bit, I'm not going to say pessimistic. I'll say cautious, because while Ant-Man is like one of my favorite sub franchises within the MCU itself, the trail, I don't think the trailers have been fantastic. All right. I don't think they've been fantastic.
And apparently, they didn't really give you a sense of how big and sprawling and epic this movie is.
It's left me with a bunch of questions, but also looked like just a big CGI fest, all that kind of stuff. I don't like the fact, I'll say it. I don't care. I admit, I don't like the fact that Michael Pena isn't there. All right? He's one of the most wonderful parts of the Ant-Man franchise, and I don't like that he's not there. But that's fine. Fine. I trust Peyton Reed. We'll see. The reactions have been fantastic. Let's go over and take a look at some of the reactions and see if oh, good. You do know how to bring up the thing. Okay. We're going to start off here with our friend, Eric Davis. I've known Eric for a very, very long time. Eric writes, Phase 5 has begun. The new Ant-Man movie is like a psychedelic roller coaster full of frightening and hilarious oddities, plus one very menacing Kang. Big Star Wars vibes meets the MCU at its freakiest and most inventive. MODOK is a riot, but Jonathan Majors conquers. Love the ride. Now, I will put out a grain of salt about Eric, who is fantastic. Eric is great at what he does. Eric, whenever I bring up Eric in the reaction, I always mention Eric in all the reaction stuff. Somebody pointed out, John, Eric works for so-and-so. Fine, full disclosure, Eric actually works for Fandango, a company whose entire business is selling movie tickets. So fine, take that with a grain of salt. Sure, that's Eric. But make no mistake, Eric is great at what he does. That's why I like to quote him a lot. But sure, but let's move on to people who do not work for Fandango. All right? FICO wrote, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is the best of the trilogy. Higher stakes, dangers, and repercussions. It also has got one of the best MCU villains in Kang. As soon as Jonathan Majors comes in, it's his show. Kang is a scary, lean, mean, multiverse big baddie. Also, two cool post-credit scenes. So there you go. We got 2 post-credit scenes in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Keep your eyes open for that. Brian Davids writes, there comes a point where every franchise has to get weird, and the MCU has done just that with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Like all his other roles, Jonathan Majors remains endlessly compelling. We move on to Daniel Howitt, who writes, Quantumania is definitely Marvel's weirdest movie yet, but that's a good thing. It leans hard into the sci-fi side of the MCU, takes lots of wild swings. Not everything lands, but it's funny, inventive, and a good time, an enjoyable, bizarro ride into the quantum realm. This comes to us from Dempsey Pilot, who writes, had a blast with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Paul Rudd has never been better, and Jonathan Majors effortlessly conquers every second of on-screen time he gets. But the real star of the film is Jeff Loveless's script, a reminder of how beautifully strange and mysterious the MCU still is. Courtney Howard, a little bit more tempered. She writes, after a frustratingly rough Act 1, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania finally gets going, only to end where the story should have begun. While the external stakes are clear and weighty, emotional drive felt slight and levity even lighter. That said, Jonathan Majors rules. We go on to Geek Vibes Nation, who writes, Thanos was the appetizer, while Jonathan Majors' Kang the Conqueror is the main course. Major plays Kang with brilliance and confidence, a menacing and cunning villain with a hint of charm. Kang dominates physically and mentally. We're going to end this one off with Nora Dominic, who writes, Jonathan Majors is a force in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. He's compelling, chilling, and already giving a top-notch performance. I love the complexity he brings to Kang with literally a single look. MCU really won with this casting. All right, so we're hearing across the board, it's the best of the Ant-Man franchise, which is not the most celebrated franchise in the MCU, but it is dear to my heart. I really enjoy the Ant-Man movies. I love what Peyton Reed has done. Again, I wonder how general audiences will feel about the weird psychedelic quantum realm stuff. I mean, they went out to support Doctor Strange, which made over $900 million. Doctor Strange 2, I should say, made over $900 million. I wonder how they'll react to this one. I think I will miss the more lighthearted Scott Lang. Everything I'm hearing so far is this is a more serious one. It definitely has some Ant-Man humor in it and all that kind of stuff, but everybody's saying it's definitely a more serious approach to the character. I'm hearing a lot of comparisons to Star Wars from some saying this is like the Star Wars of the MCU.
Which sounds cool to me.
Which sounds great. Everybody says exactly what we all expected. Jonathan Majors kills it as Kang. And several of them, because I've read dozens of them the other day or last night, several of them are saying this is the best MCU villain yet, like topping Thanos. That's a tall order. I'm going to wait till I see that one myself to buy into that. But it's overwhelmingly positive. It sounds really good. I still wonder how it will hit the with the general movie-going audience at any rate. But we'll see. Rob, you saw the ones we just read. You read a whole bunch of the other ones. What are your thoughts on the reactions we're seeing for Ant-Man and the Wasp?
All of this has made me even more excited than I already was. I mean, watching the red carpet, there was a lot of actors they introduced that said, I'm so-and-so, I'm a freedom fighter. You know, I've been studying martial arts for 30 years. That's why they hired me. Like this beautiful woman, I forget the name. She's an actress. She plays a character. But that's why she's a martial arts expert. She looked like she could break anybody in half. I'm like, I've never even heard of her. I didn't know she was in this film. But when she's telling me what she does and why she's in the film, I'm like, this sounds great. You know, I'm like, I didn't know anything about this. Certainly not in the trailers. I mean, martial arts, where have we seen that? We've seen Ant-Man and Cassie and Hope run around, but we haven't seen, where's this cadre of freedom fighters? And reading about the fact that it's got a Star Wars vibe to it, that there is a much larger, sprawling science fiction story. I'm curious by people saying that because we haven't seen that in the trailers. It looked, and hearing what Jonathan Majors, and I've seen a couple of clips online where Jonathan Majors has, it's scenes we've seen in the trailer, but extended versions of those scenes. He crushes it. I mean, like, he just crushes it. And I think one of the things about Kang that's different than Thanos is Thanos was somebody that thought, okay, I'm doing something for the universe. I'm getting rid of half the people here so the rest of us can live better lives. Kang's like, man, I want to make the universe the way I want it. So it's much more personal. His villainy is
a good shot of MODOK.
Yeah, and MODOK, I mean, bring it all on. I to me, John, this movie, I can't wait to see it. It sounds bonkers. I can't wait. There's so many elements of this I'm excited to see. And I think there's a lot we just don't know about it. So I think to see. It's going to be fun because we don't know what's coming. We haven't seen a lot of it. So it's going to be fun.
So, okay, this brings us then to a question that we kind of tried to address the other day, but now we're getting closer. Movie opens next week. How big can this movie open? Because again, I wonder about, I don't think this has been a tremendous marketing campaign for Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think the best ad they've done, was it Michelob? Which was the beer? Did you see that commercial? Yeah. The beer commercial.
Yeah.
With Scott, right? Yeah. Like that was literally the best marketing they've done for this movie. And I don't think the marketing's been great. I still think it's going to look a little weird for some of the general movie-going audience. So how big can this movie open? Couple things to keep in mind. The first Ant-Man movie had an opening weekend of, anybody want to take a guess? What was the opening weekend box office number? Take a wild shot.
60 million.
You're very, very, very close. 57 million.
Wow, okay.
Second Ant-Man movie opened to an improved 75 million. Again, the Ant-Man film's
still not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, by MCU standards,
right.
Still not a whole ton. So how big will the open? There it is. Oh, and it's a Heineken. It's a Heineken commercial. This is a great commercial, by the way. It's the one bit of marketing they did that I thought was really good. So now we're moving into the third film, and I've seen some people saying it's going to make a 200 million opening weekend. It's not.
No.
I mean, I hope it does, but I know it's not. I'm still sitting at 120. Which would be a huge jump over the previous Ant-Man. I don't know. What are you thinking? Like now we're gonna get some rave reviews for this thing. Where do you think the opening weekend's gonna land?
120 seems, around maybe a little more. 130, 140, even 150. The problem,
you think it'd go that high?
It depends because, here's what I think about the marketing. The Marvel movies are now marketed in an almost cliche manner. And if this actually I thought this book that you can get this book is amazing.
That's a fantastic thing they're doing.
I mean, it's fantastic. And there's a scene where he's driving in the car where he's listening to his own books on tape, which is kind of interesting, and funny. But I think that if word gets out about what's in this movie, it could do very, very well. But their marketing, I was surprised, like I said, at the red carpet to see, I wasn't there, I was watching it, to watch and see all of these characters and all these actors that are playing these freedom fighters. I'm like, we haven't seen you. Like, I haven't seen any of these people. And I'm thinking that maybe they didn't sell this enough because the three trailers we've seen are all kind of the same.
They're all very similar.
And I would have thought with this movie, with the kind of craziness of it, that they would have given us a couple of very different trailers where we would have had a lot more character interaction. And if there is freedom fighters, where are they? If there's a rebel faction fighting, I mean, we've seen big bases and ships and all that, but we haven't seen, like, no one's addressing "Long live the fighters" and all the Fremen are like, yeah, we haven't seen anything like that. So I don't know.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about the reactions for Ant-Man? They're more positive than I was expecting. I still don't know how big that opening is going to be, though, because I don't think they did a great job marketing it, but we'll find out. I'm setting the line at 120. Whatever you guys think, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we are now going to open up that post in our community tab for those of you who are our channel members. If you guys who are channel members have a thought, first of all, thank you for being channel members. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire that in there now. And Rob and I are going to address some of those when we come back after we take another moment to thank a couple of other sponsors of our show here today, the great folks over at DraftKings and my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, DraftKings. Are you ready for the biggest Sunday in sports? DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 57, has all the Super Bowl action you need. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can get in on the Super Bowl 57 excitement with DraftKings Happy Hour Super Boosts. Check the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to see what prop bet will be boosted. Going into Super Bowl 57, I think you got to look at the Philadelphia Eagles as taking home the big prize. Keep your eye on Jalen Hurts. He's going to be the difference maker in the game. So guys, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code Campea. New customers can bet $5 on Super Bowl 57 and get 200 in bonus bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with the code Campea. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I made the switch over to Mint Mobile a while ago. The process couldn't have been easier, and I can't believe that I am spending less than a third of what I was spending on one of the other major carriers before. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at DraftKings. Can't wait for the superb owl comes out this weekend. For the bonus points to those of you who know that reference. And of course, our friends at Mint Mobile. All right, guys, let's get over to what our members are writing in and asking. Let's jump to it. What do we got up here first?
Well, John, we've got, should I start at the top or bottom,
yes,
guys?
Top, yeah.
Top. Drew, watched Train to Busan last night, and it was amazing how they build the tension and pull you in with the character development. And, oh boy, when that little girl starts singing at the end, I turned to my wife and said, no, you're crying. Thank you for recommending this movie. Love this show, and bring on the filthy, John. I love Train to Busan. I just got the 4K disc. It's so good.
You know, it's funny because I am kind of over the zombie thing.
I understand.
But once in a while, something comes out that just feels good. And Train to Busan is one of those fun.
Yep.
It finds a way to thrill you at the same time, and they pack some emotion into it too.
Really good.
I mean, it's no The Last of Us per se, but it is a fun movie.
It's good.
Yeah. All right.
I like it. Up and Adam says, are you guys watching The Mayor of Kingstown? It's so good. Filmed in my hometown of Kingston, Ontario.
Yep.
Real life city with 6 federal prisons in and around the city. You can actually do tours of the now closed Kingston Penitentiary where all of the inside prison stuff where season 1 was filmed. I didn't know that. I
love Mayor of Kingstown.
It's a great show.
It's the Jeremy Renner show, another Taylor Sheridan, the guy who does Yellowstone. It's fantastic. And I love the first season. And I was a little bit nervous about season 2, whether or not it would still capture the magic and all that kind of stuff. I am completely loving season 2 so far. If you guys have not started watching Mayor of Kingstown, and yeah, Kingston, Ontario is actually beautiful. Yeah, a lot of prisons around there. It's a beautiful place. It's surrounded by gorgeous nature and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you don't want to get sent to Kingston. But Kingstown, Mayor of Kingstown is awesome. Check it out if you haven't started watching it.
Wow.
All right, what's next?
Mikey Dude says, some have been saying Ant-Man 3 is like episode 1 of a greater story for the MCU. Is this a good thing, or would you rather have it be more of its own standalone film in a sense?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. One of the criticisms of Marvel lately, all of Phase 4, has really been that everything has felt like standalone stories, which, by the way, I don't mind. I go to a movie theater to watch a good movie. I don't give 2 craps about how it ties into everything else. If it does, great. If it doesn't, whatever. I go to see a good movie. You make a bad movie that ties into everything else, doesn't make the movie any better. So I'm fine with that. But we have been suspecting, Rob, we've said on the show for a while, we suspect that Ant-Man and Wasp will be the movie that kind of starts to tie everything together, to make it feel like it's a part of a larger thing, and kicking off Phase 5 in the build-up and the march-up to Kang Dynasty, and then whatever Secret Wars is going to be. So, no, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, again, the movie's got to be good. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. But I think a lot of people are going to say it's about time Marvel started tying everything together. What do you think?
Well, I think, look, like you said, having Kang and knowing Kang's plot is going to be, we're getting Avengers Kang Dynasty. So knowing that this is the kickoff, this is the big game, at least for phase 5 and phase 6 of the MCU. So I'm glad that we're going to see some tying together of everything. And I like the idea. Look, I love the Kang Dynasty storyline. I think that was 12 issues, and that's not even tie-in issues from other books. So I think this is the way to start it. And I love Jonathan Majors. Everything I've seen him in, you know, he just gets better and better. It's going to be, I like Devotion, and I can't wait, dude. I can't wait to see him in Creed 3.
Oh, he's gonna be great in Creed 3.
I can't wait.
Yeah. You can already tell from the trailers.
I mean, he's a
great.
monster, and I guess he's a monster in this too. And so I can't wait. I think that's kind of what I wanted from this.
All right, what's next?
Sean Miner says, so for the Yellowstone spinoff, do they start fresh or work Matthew in from the first season?
On the final season.
On the final season.
I don't know. You can't work Matthew in on the final season. I think it's kind of too late for that. It would probably have to be starting from episode 1, I would think. I mean, it's not going to be a fresh start if you're bringing over other characters, but I don't know how at this point you bring Matthew McConaughey into the second half of season 5.
I don't either.
I mean, it's not impossible. From what I understand, they're still shooting, so they theoretically could.
I just think it's a shame that they have to do. I hate when that happens.
Listen, and again, everything from that deadline report says this is happening, not that it's happened. So, Kevin, listen, from everything we're reading in Deadline, they haven't pulled the trigger on this yet. It very well could be that Kevin Costner goes, all right, I'll tell you what, 3 weeks instead of 1. Taylor, I mean, who knows? They could still work all this out, but if they don't, my guess, and it's just a guess, my guess is we won't see Matthew McConaughey until the start of whatever the new show is going to be. All right, what's next?
Amin says, over or under 65% chance they release the final 2 episodes of The Last of Us at the same time or earlier, since apparently episode 9 is only 40 minutes long and because it's scheduled for Oscar Sunday.
Under, I think they already got their plan. And I've not heard anybody say that the
I don't
final
either.
episode is 40 minutes long. Who's saying that? I don't think Disney's saying that, or
Yeah,
I don't think
know.
Warner Brothers saying that. I mean, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. No, I don't think they'll do, listen, they're going to want to draw this out. Right. I love starting with a couple of episodes because that gives first-time viewers, as the show is starting, the opportunity to get a real sense of the show, more than just one episode. But after that, you want to keep building that momentum and building that viewership and all that kind of stuff. I just don't see the advantage of them to say take the last 2 episodes and merge them together when you can get another week of dominating the ratings.
I totally agree.
All right. What's next?
Comic Things says, hey, John, have you or did you hear from any of your people who've seen Ant-Man last night like the film? I can't wait.
Listen, last night was, I can't talk about why, but last night was a very, very busy night for me. So I haven't talked to anybody. Actually, it's funny. I was on the phone with, Harloff and I were on the phone together as he was going to go to a screening of it. He was on his way to the screening, but my evening was like way packed and I didn't have a chance to talk to anybody. So no, I have not talked to anybody that I know that saw the film yet. So I'm anxious to do so, but I have not yet. And don't forget, on Sunday, February 19th, you can see me, Christian Harloff, and Greg Alba all talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania at our live show in Burbank. Make sure you guys come and join us for that. There you go. What a great poster Ray put together there. All right, what's next?
Living with Dameron says, have you heard any reports come out pertaining to the jaw-dropping Ant-Man picture that you got sent?
No, but that is the first, because I told you what it was. We haven't told you guys what it was, but I told him. That is going to be probably the first question I ask when I talk to somebody today. I'm just going to say, hey, just tell me this. Does this happen in the movie? I'm not going to ask them to tell me anything else. I'm just going to ask them, does this happen in the movie? And then I will find out. And then I will never tell you guys what it was until after the movie comes out, but I'll at least tell you if it got confirmed to me that it was in the movie or not.
It could have been something that was shot for something else, although...
Yeah, that's true. Because that's what happened with the She-Hulk stuff, right? With the Spider-Man thing?
I would suspect, based on what people have been saying, the thing you told me about is a post-credit scene.
Could be.
Don't know.
Yeah. We'll find out. All right, what's next?
The Super Ranger mud truck says, unfortunately, I've chosen not to go to my local movie theaters anymore. I've tried them all, and it seems there's always either a problem with the theater itself, some teens on their bright phones, or a little baby crying the entire movie. I can't win.
You know, it brings up the thing that movie theaters, and I've gone off on this a lot, but movie theaters have to start to focus more on the customer's experience when they come in their doors. And instead of focusing on how to milk those people more and more and more, focus on how to make their experience the best it can be. I am not a big fan of Alamo Drafthouse, just because I have issues with their CEO. I've got some real problems with that individual. That being said, they know how to run a movie theater.
Yeah.
Because when I go to an Alamo Drafthouse theater, they've got one in LA. It is always their number one focus. You can tell the moment you walk in the doors is this customer's experience. They do everything to make it the best possible experience. And then they go out of their way to make real explicit, hey, you're a fuckhead if you pull out your phone during one of our movies.
They basically say that.
They do. No, they straight up will swear. They'll get Ethan Hawke on screen and say, fuck you if you bring out a movie, and they will throw your ass out of the theater. Good. So they really do focus on making sure, hey, you come to our theater, we want you to have an awesome time and have a great experience. More movie theaters need to do that. You need to get more serious about addressing this stuff. You got to be willing to throw people out to kick out the one person to make sure that 50 other people have a better time and will more likely come back to your theater. AMC theaters, Regal Cinemas, Cinemark, all the rest of them need to start taking notes from that.
I completely agree.
All right, what's next?
The Movie Dimension says, what are some of your favorite football movies?
Ooh.
80 for Brady.
I have not seen. I'm not going to watch 80 for Brady. I'm a big Tom Brady fan, and there you go. Local man goes 80 for Brady. His name was Brady. Those gals went 80. There, I love that. Breaking news. Love it. No, 80 for Brady is not one of them. Listen, I know it's got its detractors. I'm a big fan of Any Given Sunday.
Dude, that movie rules.
I really like that.
It's Oliver Stone. It's so good.
And then, of course, the Burt Reynolds, not the whole 9 yards.
Semi-tough?
Is that the one he does the football in prison?
Oh,
and then Adam Sandler did a remake of it.
I think it's Semi-tough, isn't it?
I don't think it's
not Semi-tough.
It's something yard.
Oh, the longest yard.
The longest yard. Thank
yard.
you, Ray. Ray's saving the day there.
And the Game Plan with The Rock.
I'm not a big fan of the Game Plan. I'm not going to lie.
Come on.
I'm a big fan of it's from the early 80s, North Dallas 40. I love it. John Beck and Mac Davis.
You know what? It's not a pure football movie per se. I like Waterboy. I like Waterboy.
Yeah,
Waterboy's like Captain Insano.
And I got to say, the Friday Night Lights film with Billy Bob
Friday
Thornton
Night, the movie is
really
fantastic.
Good. You know, it is. And Rudy, would you consider Rudy a football movie?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
With Samwise.
but yeah, there's some good football movies out. I love football movies, and I love the Friday Nights. To me, Friday Night Lights, the TV show, is the Star Trek of high school football TV shows.
By the way, a bunch of people in the live chat mentioning The Replacements with Keanu Reeves.
That's a good one.
I like
Falco. Shane Falco.
That's a good one. Yeah,
because you got Keanu Reeves, you got Gene Hackman, you got John, showrunner of Mandalorian, John
Favreau.
Yeah, John Favreau. You got. I mean, that's a pretty good one too.
Shane Falco.
I still think it's Any Given Sunday though.
You know what? Any Given Sunday is a big budget Hollywood high gloss production with a bunch of stars. Al Pacino we fight for every inch.
Oh, Remember the Titans.
Great. Oh, Remember the Titans is great too.
Titans
Very
is
good.
Whole Night or Blindside.
Yep, The Blind Side.
The Blindside's really good. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Jake says, "Do you think the Super Mario movie is going to better the box office than Sonic the Hedgehog?"
By miles.
I do too.
I listen. I mentioned this on the show the other day. I've done a little bit of a 360, and actually, Jonathan, maybe you can look at what did Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 make at the box office, but they didn't make $1 billion. I have done a complete 180 on Mario because at first I was like, I don't think that movie's gonna make $1 billion. I have changed my tune. Like the more I'm seeing, the more I'm hearing. I'm now, right now, I think there is a very real chance that the Super Mario Brothers movie may be the #1 movie of the year.
First Sonic worldwide was 319, and then Sonic 2, 402.
All right. So yeah, it'll lap. In multiples, it'll lap Sonic the Hedgehog. I honestly now feel there is a chance Super Mario Brothers not only hits the $1 billion mark, but could end up being the #1 film of the year.
If it's good.
If it's good. I mean, with all the movies we're predicting, it's about if it's good. But if we go and it looks like it's as fun as it's looking, I think the $1 billion mark might just be the start. I think this could be a $1.3, $1.4 billion film. Again, I got to see it. Like after I see it, I may come out and say, yeah, scratch that. 500 million. Right. We'll see. But let's see what happens when I see it. All right, what's next?
Marla Jehovah says, "Hi, Campea crew. You are given ultimate power of the Star Wars franchise. What do you release make first? And if time permits, why? Bring on the filthy."
I mean, for me, I like the idea of going Old Republic. And I don't necessarily mean taking the story of the games per se, but I'm fascinated with the Old Republic era because it's separated enough, even though technically it would be a prequel. As soon as you get more than like 80 years in the past, you can do anything you want because it doesn't matter. Like you can do anything 3,000 years earlier and you don't have to worry about sticking to canon of what happens in the main timeline because it's so far removed. So I love the idea of going Old Republic.
I think that's the obvious way to go, and that's the way I'd want to go.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Dude Man Toys says, "Thank you, John, for putting such a great crew together. You sure know how to pick them. The Canadian kid is happy to be a part of the community. Question for Rob and Ray. Have you seen the fantastic Moon movie called Impact with our favorite alien, Natasha Henstridge? I have not seen Impact. Have you seen this? There's a Moon movie out there we haven't seen.
We got to watch it.
Impact.
I will. You got to tell us where it's available.
Yeah, Impact. We'll have to search.
Was she not that alien?
Species.
That's right.
Yeah, she's Species Girl.
Impact.
I want to impact with her.
Oh, God.
Come on.
Okay, so it came out in 2009.
Oh.
The poster looks great. It looks like the moon's about to crash into the city.
That's why it's called Impact.
That's what it's called. I'll watch it. It's not Moonfall, so it's like a precursor to Moonfall is what you're saying?
Oh, it's a series. It's a TV miniseries from 2009.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Natasha. Yep.
I hear it must be like a sci-fi network kind of thing that nobody wants.
Prime Video, baby.
Right.
Can I borrow your Prime Video?
All right, what's next?
Nathan Barron says, "Did any of you see Skinamarink? It's an experience."
I never did watch it, but Taylor, did you not see it?
Yeah, I loved it. I had so much. Oh wow, this camera looks so good. We switched up the lens.
Wow, look at you, dude.
I slapped a new lens on that camera there this morning. So yeah.
Wow, look at all the pores though. I had so much fun with Skinamarink because I haven't stopped thinking about it since I've seen it. I didn't know what to expect going into it. I thought maybe like a Paranormal Activity movie, but it's not really. It's just very experimental, very abstract, but it's like the absence of what you see that really lingers, like just looking down the dark hallways, hearing the noises. Yeah.
Is it worth the trip though to a theater?
Yeah, I would say.
Is it a wait till streaming?
No, I think if you have the chance to see it in a theater, because it's so dark. Like I use a projector at home, so I don't know how it would even look at home. Okay. It's just very dark, very grainy. I would say if you can check it out in a theater, do that. But it is also streaming on Shudder if you can't make it out to a theater.
Shudder.
All right. Jonathan has stepped into the hallway because we've got our Spectrum tech is here.
Taking care of business today.
They damn well better. I mean, I look, I have never had worse. I mean, going back to the early 2000s with companies trying to do high-speed internet, I've never had worse experience than with Spectrum. Guys, never use Spectrum as your internet company.
It goes out every day.
Every day we're having problems, and they've done nothing about it. So finally we got a tech here trying to fix this damn thing. Am I bitter? Am I sounding bitter?
Well, come on. They cut off the show yesterday, didn't
you? You're a disgruntled customer. You're not getting good customer service.
Cut off that show yesterday.
All right, what's next?
Aaron McDonough says, "Hey John, I've been getting through the Best Picture list,
Nice.
and I'm currently halfway through. And I've got to say, I think Tar is my favorite so far. Yes, Aaron, you and I park our shuttlecrafts in the same shuttle bay. Kate is definitely securing that Oscar.
Yeah.
I thought she was incredible.
It was your number one film of the year.
It was my number one film of the year.
Not my number one, but listen, it's a fantastic movie. Kate Blanchett, book it.
It's not for everybody.
No good movie should be for everyone, but book it. Kate Blanchett is winning Best Actress at the Oscars. It would be one of the most phenomenal upsets if she didn't. She's winning it, period. I'd be curious to know which ones you haven't seen. So for comparison's sake, but like, I think it's a 3-horse race. I think Fabelmans is currently the front runner, but not by a lot. I will not be surprised if any of the following win: Fabelmans, Everything Everywhere, and The Banshees of Inisherin. I think I'll be surprised if any film other than those three wins Best Picture. I think it's down to those three. What do you think? Do you think it's down to those? Do you think a fourth? Do you think only two of them? What do you think?
No, I think you're probably right about that. I mean, I do think probably Banshees of Inisherin is going to take it, though.
Really?
I do.
All right. I think it'll be Fabelmans, but it'll definitely be one of those three.
Yeah.
I can't see any of the rest of them is going to win it. So
unless there's some crazy populist upset of Top Gun. Because, I mean, I don't think Top Gun has a snowball's chance in hell of winning Best Picture until it does. If it did, then it would be crazy. Because that would be just people not, all the other votes would be divided and everyone loves Top Gun. So let's put Top Gun on there. But I don't see the Academy actually doing it. But I would just love to see it happen. Yeah, I don't think it's going to.
I was all for Top Gun getting a Best Picture nomination. It has no business winning. No, I don't think. But
it does not.
But I'm thrilled that it got a nomination because it's fantastic. All right, what's next?
Ismael Montoya says, "Hey guys, I tried mozzarella sticks with sour cream, and it's the greatest thing ever."
No. They said grossest. They said
it's the grossest thing ever, not greatest. Grossest thing ever. Bring on the filthy.
Like the movies, not every type of food, but the vast majority. Everybody in here can attest to this. The vast majority of the people who have written into our show to talk about, you know what, John, we tried mozzarella sticks with sour cream instead of the marinara, and it's marvelous. It'll change your life. It'll, like, the realms of reality will open up to you in such a way that you never thought was possible before. It is absolutely fantastic. Next time you get matzo sticks, say, excuse me, miss, instead of bringing me a side of marinara, bring me a side of sour cream.
Because I would like to shorten up my life a little bit. That's what I really want out of that.
I love talking about a food on a fast. It's great.
All right, let's do a couple more here. What's next?
Stubble McShave says, "What do you think the new Shogun series may do better, and what would they do worse compared to the 1980 version?"
Well,
That's a great question.
Look, it's going to have much better production value.
Yeah.
It's going to have much better combat choreography.
Yes.
It's just going to look a lot better. I mean, look, how will the performances be? All that kind of stuff. Because Richard Chamberlain in that first one, man, he was great. John Rhys-Davies, Inglés. I mean, I loved him in that. But listen, it should be superior in every way. It really should, because not only has, from a technical point of view, have they advanced so far, but also they've got that original miniseries to take a look at, figure out, okay, how do we improve upon this? How do we make this better? And the reality is, as much as I love that original miniseries, it was a product of its era.
Yeah.
So really, it should be an improvement in almost every way. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with you. The one thing I think that I don't know if they're going to keep, I love the fact that they didn't subtitle the Japanese when Blackthorn first gets to Japan.
Right.
And when you're watching it, you kind of have to learn the way he learns. I don't think they would do that this time.
No.
I think people would be too annoyed.
But I mean, there are times when it happens sometimes today too, when filmmakers today are like, we want to put the audience in the shoes of our protagonist, right? And we want our audience to feel the confusion and not knowing what's going on. And a good way to do that is by not putting up subtitles sometimes. I mean, there was a movie recently that, it was West Side Story, right? West Side Story. And I thought that was great because I'm not supposed to know what they're saying right now. So why put up subtitles in that part, right? So maybe they will. I mean, if Spielberg just did it, maybe they will.
They might.
All right.
I disagree with you guys. The best Shogun is Chef Rigo, Shogun.
Shogun. We got to get back out there. We haven't been there in a bit. All right. Let's just we got time for a couple more. What's next?
Yusuf. This is a tough one. Yosef Viverios says, hello all. Favorite Freddy Krueger movie?
Ooh.
V. Oh, you mean the actual character
Good.
Freddy?
By the way, people are bringing this up. I don't know why. It's in the zeitgeist. You know, V turns 40 years old this year.
Oh, really?
40, dude.
Oh my God.
Wait a minute. Then that makes me.
I tell you what, I remember just being when I was a little kid, and like that V was on. What? I never seen anything like that on TV. It was so like when they pull out the skin and the lizard.
It was great when Diana finally reveals herself.
She's eating a rat.
That image of someone eating a rat, nightmares for like as a kid.
Yeah,
stuck
totally
with
did.
me.
Yep.
I have no idea what show you guys are talking.
And you can see the lump go down. Oh.
For those of you who don't know, there's a mini. Actually, it was 2 miniseries and a TV show, but the first miniseries was great. It was just called V, and it was about, when you watch it, it'll be very familiar to people who saw Independence Day. But it's about a group of extraterrestrials that come to Earth to want to be our friends.
Okay.
So they say.
So they say.
And V stands for visitors, by
Yes.
the way, not victory. It stands for visitors. And anyway, favorite Freddy Krueger movie. By the way, Robert Englund was
Is
in that.
in
That
V.
was our first introduction to
Yeah.
Robert Englund. He was
He
in
plays
V.
one of the visitors.
He does. He plays one of the aliens. The original one. Honestly, I still think the original one is the only one that's really good.
You
I
know
think
what?
There are a couple of one or two of the others are good, but I think the only one that's really good was the first one.
I will say Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors is pretty good too. But you know what, that franchise, especially the first 5, there's a lot of really imaginative stuff in all of them. They're not like the Halloween movies get a little, but there's a lot of, they get goofier and goofier as they go along, but there's a lot of fun kills and set pieces and fantasy weirdness, which I like. But I think you're absolutely right. The first one's the best, and I do like Dream Warriors.
All right, let's take one more. What's next?
Robert Tari says, isn't it ironic how integral Alan Horn was to James Gunn's current position at WB, and now they're working together again? Laugh out loud.
Listen, this is one of the reasons why Alan Horn is simply one of the most talented, intelligent, and wise studio executives the industry of Hollywood has ever had. There is a reason why when Bob Iger first took over Disney, you gotta remember, going all the way back to when Bob Iger first became the CEO of Disney, Alan Horn was already retired. And Bob Iger said, I need a general who can come in and shepherd, because Disney is a big company with a lot of different things. And Bob Iger, Big Papa Iger said, I need a general who can come in here, who can be my Maximus, can come in here and run our entire movie division. And he got on the phone to Alan Horn, who was sipping Mai Tais in Tahiti, surfing and doing his katas, because he's a real life black belt, and said, buddy, I need to come out of retirement. So he comes out of retirement. All Alan Horn does is shepherd the movie division at Disney, because it ain't just the MCU that was scoring billion-dollar film after billion-dollar, which, by the way, was all under Alan Horn's watch. It was almost every division of Disney, their movies they were putting out, getting billion-dollar films, huge successes, the biggest that Disney has ever been. So then he finally retires again after Big Papa Iger leaves. Okay, time for me to go back to retirement.
Let it go.
And so when David Zaslav is taking over Warner Brothers, he goes, I need a general. Now, instead of becoming the head of all the movie division, he got Alan Horn to come out in a part-time kind of way.
Consulting role.
To be his consigliere, right? He is his right hand. He's his main consultant. And it is one of the things that makes Alan Horn so smart is that, look, he had to be the one to pull the trigger to let James Gunn go after the whole 10-year-old tweet thing came about. But after time passed, many conversations, he was like, you know what? We're going to bring James Gunn back in. And James Gunn was brought back in to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And so he has the wisdom to go, yeah, that happened before, but now we are in a different time. We are in a different place. We have changed as people, all that kind of stuff. And I'm absolutely 100% sure that part of James Gunn getting the job to run DC is, at least in part, due to David Zaslav sitting down with his consigliere and Alan Horn saying, if James Gunn is available, you get James Gunn. Didn't you fire him once? Yes, I did. And I brought him back. And he's the guy we need to get. Because my main protege over there in Kevin Feige, he believed in this guy so much, he was putting him in charge of the galactic element of all that kind of stuff. He's the guy we need to get. That's why Alan Horn is, and with all due respect and forgive the language, but Alan Horn is the fucking man. And he's going to be going back into retirement for a third time pretty soon and start to enjoy himself because he's earned it, but he's the man. And yeah, it's kind of funny that he's the guy who's at least in part responsible for bringing James Gunn back in. Anyway, all right, guys, listen, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. We hope that you will come back again tomorrow and join us for the next episode of the John Campea Show. Hey, guys, a little bit of a programming note to let you be aware of. A little bit later today up on the channel, we will put up a part 2 of our Last of Us open spoiler discussion that Rob is going to record here because, of course, because of our internet issues, we weren't able to finish all the live questions that got sent in. Rob is going to finish those off, and we'll upload that video a little bit later sometime tonight. Later this afternoon at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we are going to be doing an open mic. I'm going to be doing it solo. I hope you guys will come back and join me for an open mic at 3 p.m. Los Angeles time later today. So, until next time, my friends, over here has been Robert Meyer Burnett. Back there, of course, Ray Ora. We got Taylor Gonzalez operating the switch right now, and even though he's got the right lower third now too.
Yeah.
And over beside him, Jonathan Voigt, who had to step away for a bit. My name's John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.